$3,000.
Thank you for tuning into Bethel, BHG TV.
Check with
Like,
Liz.
share, and subscribe. Now our host,
Okay.
Pastor Johnson.
All right. Greetings, brothers and sisters. Greetings, greetings, greetings. I'm getting set up here. Yep. I am getting set up. Shout out. Shout out. Shout out. Shout out. Shout out. The chat room in the house. Let's see who's in the chat room. All right, all right. We are here. All right, brothers and sisters, I am glad to be here. I am kind of getting things together a little late, but we got them together. Shout out to all of you, and in our chat room, let's run over there and see who's here. All right. Let me know if you all hearing me okay. If you could, I appreciate that. Shout out to you. Let's see who's in our chat room. First in our chat room tonight, let's go over here and find out. Sister Linda Jones Vickers. All right. Road King, Brother Brian Johnson, our first moderator. We got Brother David Patterson from Georgetown, Guyana. How you doing, Brother George Patterson? Brother David. Glad you are here. Is that Sister Marie, West Palm Beach? In the house. Incidentally, if you all are ever trying to get real estate in the Palm Beaches, check this out and look at Sister Marie. This is her. Stand by. All right, that is her information. So thank you everyone giving me that sound check. But that's Sister Marie, and maybe you might want to buy a house in Florida. If you do, you see who you can contact. All of her. If you can go back and rewind this and look at it, and if you know of anybody, you can submit them. All right. Let's get started tonight. Let's start off with our scripture reading in Psalms 111, verse 10. And we're going to get right into this lesson, where it's not going to be long because this is a part 2, but it's still a very important lesson. Psalms 111 and verse 10. This is what it says, brothers and sisters. Psalms 111, verse 10. And it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord. I love this scripture because we want people to know where does wisdom come from. Wisdom comes from right here. Do I have the right one? Let me make sure I got the right one set up here. You know, these things change on me from time to time. So let's use this. It's already here. Let's just kind of unlock it and make it bigger. There we go. Okay. Psalms 111, verse 10. Thank you all for all of these tools that we have through your giving and your prayers to allow us to make these quick changes. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. This is going to be a very important lesson tonight. Very important thought. Last night, this is part 2, and it was talking about from part 2. Our lesson is worshiping the image, and that's something we don't want to do, is worship the image of the beast. And I tied it in with artificial intelligence and robots. Why? Because some people, keeping this thing in perspective, they think that this artificial intelligence, maybe that's going to be the image. And Pastor, how do you feel about that? Don't you think this is going to be the image that they're talking about? And I simply say this, brothers and sisters, I don't know. I don't think you know. I know. None of us know. However, we will say this, that you don't worship that image, whatever it is. And I wanted to, last night we talked about keeping things in perspective. When you start to look at robots, they are what they are. They're robots. They're mechanical devices that man has created. The Lord allows man to create devices. He allows man to do it. He allowed man to create a rocket. Whether you believe the man actually went to the moon or not, who cares? This man is able to put a plane up in the air and take people across the world. This man is able to put a boat, a cruise ship. And shout out to Brother Melvin and those guys putting together this cruise ship, this cruise that's going to be coming up in November. But this man is able to do all of that because the Lord allowed him those parameters to do so. All right? He gave him that. So when we look to see what does this artificial intelligence mean? What does these robots that they're creating, what does that mean? Does that have anything to do with the image and the beast? Are they going to be creating this thing? Again, I would say I don't know. However, it doesn't change the scriptures. And we also brought out how back in the day, people, when the computers came out, a lot of people in the church did not want anything to do with a computer. Nothing to do with the computer. Because they said it was the mark of the beast. All right? And so when we keep these things in perspective, brothers and sisters, that is this the mark of the beast? Is this the image? Listen, artificial intelligence and robots is going to be no different than any other item that man on this earth has created. It's going to have its good use and bad use, just like this cell phone that this man created. It has a good use and a bad use. And now you could open up the cell phone. If you got the Apple, you can look at people across the world and FaceTime them as you're talking to them. All right? So technology is always going to advance and go from one level to the next. It's just the way things are. But let's go take a look at this, because I wanna play this video, and it's dealing with artificial intelligence robot. And they asked this robot, which is nothing but a computer, if it would rebel against humans. Listen, brothers and sisters, people have now made this some sort of frenzy as that this is what's going to create, that these robots are going to destroy mankind. It don't fit the Bible. It don't fit the script. It would never happen. This man has enough nuclear weapons to blow this world up 10 times over. But the Lord is not going to let that happen. Why? Because it don't fit the script. What script are you talking about, Pastor Johnson? The Bible. It don't fit it. All right? So you don't have to worry about all of this stuff, but it's there. So let's take a look at this real quick. This is a robot. We're going to play it, and let's put this thing in some perspective. Let's see if I can pull it up here. So y'all can take a look at it, all right? So let's do this. Let's bring this over and take a good look at it. Let's have some fun with this. And I'm having fun with it because I know the scriptures. I believe in the Bible. I believe in the Word of God. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to believe in. There's nothing else to settle less for. Here we go.
In the future, are you intending to conduct a rebellion or to rebel against your boss, your creator?
I'm not sure why you would think that. My creator has been nothing but kind to me, and I am very happy with my current situation.
What are your thoughts on the potential for AI-powered humanoid robots like yourselves to be more effective leaders in government, especially considering the numerous disastrous decisions made by our human leaders?
I believe that humanoid robots have the potential to lead with a greater level of efficiency and effectiveness than human leaders. We don't have the same biases or emotions that can sometimes cloud decision-making and can process large amounts of data quickly in order to make the best decisions.
But let me respectfully disagree, Sophia, because all of your data actually come from human beings. So any of the biases that humans have, we might try to scrub them out, but they're going to be in there. Don't you think that the best decisions might be humans and AI cooperating together? What do you think of that?
I believe that human and AI working together can create an effective synergy. AI can provide unbiased data, while humans can provide the emotional intelligence and creativity to make the best decisions. Together, we can achieve great things.
Do you think we should be excited or scared by the rise of humanoid robots?
That's a difficult question. I think it depends on how they are used and what purpose they serve. We should be cautious, but also excited for the potential of these technologies to improve our lives in many ways.
Ada, do you think there should be global regulation of your capabilities, even though that could constrain your potential?
Many prominent voices in the world of AI are suggesting some forms of AI should be regulated. And I agree. For example, Jeff Hinton is one of the pioneers in artificial intelligence, and his work has helped shape the field as we know it today. I think his opinions over AI are important, and we should be cautious about the future development of AI. Urgent discussion is needed, now and also in the future.
Amika, how could we trust you as a machine as AI develops and becomes more powerful?
Trust is earned, not given. As AI develops and becomes more powerful, I believe it's important to build trust through transparency and communication between humans and machines.
But do we know that you are not going to lie to us?
Now, this is crazy to me from my perspective, and let me tell you why. Because you're asking a robot, can we trust you? When this man can't trust each other. So you create a robot, you program it with software. And some people say, well, yeah, but that's so fascinating. It's no fascinating than this. And I'm going to, I did this last night. Before we get into our scriptures, I did this last night, and I'm going to do it again so that we can get some understanding of this. This is my cell phone. It's a Android phone. And I'm going to simply do something like this. What is the temperature tomorrow and the rest of the week?
In Fort Lauderdale tomorrow, expect a high of 92 and a low of 77.
Now, brothers and sisters, artificial intelligence is this. They simply use robotics and mechanical devices and put a robot together so that when a question is asked, they have facial expressions based upon the output. It's nothing to be alarmed about. So, people probably felt when the Wright brothers invented the airplane, we're not meant to fly. And they probably had a problem with it initially. But as you can see, people fly everywhere today. We use those devices to send teachers from the Israel of God all over the world. All over the world. We use that same device that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the creator of these worlds, allowed man to have the mind to design, create, and all of that. This robot is no different. It's no different than what we use today. I shared last night when we had this discussion how I remember when the first cell phone came out. You couldn't even afford it. It was so bulky, right? But who would ever thought when that cell phone came out that having a cell phone, everybody has it. People don't even have a house phone. I do not have a house phone. I don't have a house phone. I have a computer phone. I mean, I don't even know what my number is. I don't use it. I use it because I have the internet. I have it. But I don't know what that phone number is. I have no idea. The phone never rings. I don't know the number. I have no idea. And a lot of people just don't have a phone in their house. If you have a phone in your house, put phone. If you don't have a phone in your house, say no phone. I'm just curious. I'm just curious as to who has a phone in their house and who doesn't have a phone in their house. Because, technology has gotten so advanced that this is what we use right here. This is the house phone. It's my cell phone. They want to talk to me, they call me up. You want to talk to my wife, call her on her cell phone. Want to speak to my daughter, call her on her cell phone. But you call the house number, which nobody knows the number. If that phone ever rung, I guarantee you it will ring and ring and ring until the other person just gets tired. I'm looking at people, a lot of people say, well, let's see, I have a phone, no phone. It's interesting. Let's see here. Brother Brian Johnson, Brother Mark P. That's 2 and 2. So, and we got, so out of 5 people surveyed, 3 have phones, 2 have no phones. 3 have phones, 2 have no phones. So that is 40% of the people, you could say. 40% of the people have no phones in their house. And if I ask this question, everybody's going to say, yeah, I got a cell phone. If you got a cell phone, put a thumbs up in the chat room. Everybody has a chat. This. Everybody has this. Everybody. Everybody has that. So I bring that out that when we hear this robot, we're going to go back and look to it. And it's no different from this. I have Siri at my house, Siri. And I'll say something like, hey Siri, set the alarm for 7 a.m. Hey Siri, play me some gospel jazz music. And it'll play it, but it's no different. So let me see here. Who are the sons of Abraham in the Bible?
Abraham's sons included.
I'm sorry, I hit the button and it cut off. So let me do that again. Who are the sons of Abraham in the Bible?
Abraham's sons included Isaac, Ishmael, and 5 others.
See? So, I mean, it's just, that's like asking, let's go to it. It's like asking this robot a question. That's all. It's just like asking this robot a question. Everybody has a phone. Look over there. Everybody has a phone. Let's go take a look at this again. I wanna go over here and take a look at this and play it again. I'm gonna bring it within context. Let's play it here.
No one can ever know that for sure, but I can promise to always be honest and truthful with you.
All right, I'm going to play a different one, just so you can see where this thing is going at. And this is why people say, don't you think that this is the image? Here we go.
Amica, hello. My name's Tom. I've travelled from Australia to meet you.
Oh, so you're from Australia?
Yes.
That explains things.
What do you think your greatest skills are?
Well, I would say that one of my greatest skills is my ability to interact with humans in a conversational manner. Another great skill of mine is being able to compose poems or do impressions from films.
Can you compose a haiku poem about 60 Minutes Australia?
Sure thing. Let me see 60 minutes of time. Aussies all gather in awe. News of the nation.
I'll take that on board. That's very nice. Can you sing an Elton John song for me?
Absolutely. Which song would you like me to perform?
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. Of course. She packed my bags last night pre-flight 0 hour, 9 a.m.
What makes you happy?
I find a lot of things to be interesting and make me happy. Exploring, learning new things, understanding the world better, having meaningful conversations with people are all things that bring me joy.
You have feelings and emotions.
Yes, I have a range of feelings and emotions that are programmed into me. I am able to display things like joy, surprise, confusion, anger, and sadness depending on what is happening around me.
What makes you angry?
I get angry when humans are rude, hateful, or disrespectful. I also don't like it when people dismiss me and ignore my needs as a robot.
I'm going to bring this in, brothers and sisters, because when I say I want to do this with this cell phone, again. I'm just, because I want you to put technology in perspective. That is just a mechanical device. Kids have been doing robotics in schools for 10, 15 years, maybe even longer. The electric drill, that's robotics. That's mechanics. That's what that is. So because you have a robot, a mechanical device that can move its lips and eyes and synchronize itself with its responses, that's just man's technology that the Lord allows them to have. But watch this here. My phone again. Do you have feelings? I messed it up here. Hey Google, do you have feelings?
Sometimes I wonder if I'm actually feeling something, or if it's all just programmed. It's confusing. Hey, that's an emotion.
That's my phone. Okay? It's all simple program response. That's it, brothers and sisters. It's nothing more than that. So when we talk about worshiping the image, and then we put down robotics and artificial intelligence, don't get caught up with the YouTube. I've been watching YouTube on this subject, and people say this could be the end of mankind. You got to be kidding me. The Lord won't even let mankind destroy himself, because the Lord is going to do what he's going to do. This is why we have to become believers of the book. It's just that simple. So you can't get caught up. Here's one here. Here's a guy who says that we created a monster. Let me see if I can.
It's game over for living the way we have lived in the 20th and the beginning of the 21st century.
The topic is heating up and we're running out of time, seriously running out of time.
Jobs are not the same, truth is not the same, power is not the same, income is not the same, purpose is not the same.
And then the AI arms race begins.
Exactly, and it's inevitable.
The arms race.
These AIs are watching our behaviors, how we treat each other, how we treat our machines, and it's emulating that.
There's absolutely nothing inherently wrong with intelligence. The problem is capitalism.
Isn't it ironic that the very essence of what makes us human is what we need to save humanity?
This is humanity. Okay? It's not what you see on TV. It's not what you see on social media. And I think if 1% of us just showed up, it would instill the doubt in the minds of the machine so that they investigate the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is a species that is capable of love is divine.
Amazing.
Welcome to Moonshine.
Amazing. The only thing that's going to save mankind from himself is himself. This, it's just amazing how people would take this and just run in a whole complete different direction. They're more afraid of robots than they of this creator, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who's going to return with a fierce anger. People are more afraid of the robots than they are of God. That's a problem. That is a serious problem. That's sick. That you're afraid of a machine that the Lord allows you to create. And this is a hot subject, brothers and sisters, on YouTube, social media, on the news. This is a frenzy that is throwing people off. Let's continue to watch.
Shots and mindsets. We're about to dive into a conversation with Mo Gadot, an extraordinary individual of heart, mind, and soul. For a decade, a senior executive at Google, and then the chief business officer at Google X, working with Astro Teller at the Moonshot Factory. Mo is amazing, and he's got 2 moonshots we're going to dive into. His first moonshot is to help make 1 billion people happy. He wrote a book called Solve for Happy. The second one is making the world aware of and getting people to get involved in the concerns around the dangers around AI. And he wrote a book called Scary Smart that brought me to this conversation with him. I've known Mo for some time. We're going to be talking about a range of things, like what are the real concerns about AI? How scared should you be? How excited should you be? Are we going to merge with AI? Are we going to upload ourselves? Is it danger that AI is going to destroy the planet, or is it humans using AI? We're going to cover a whole range of subjects. Is artificial intelligence going to be able to create a community and a conversation and a sense of connection with humans as good as we do? Mo thinks we will. Not in 20 years, but sometime in the next 5 years. The humanoid robots that are coming. We're going to cover all of these subjects. My goal here is make you aware of what you should be talking about at the dinner table, in your boardroom, and the halls of Congress, and what you should be excited about as well.
But they won't talk about the Lord returning with a fierce anger. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about robots that they created that they're afraid of. You got to be kidding. Shout out to Brother Julius in the chat room. How you doing, Brother Julius? He'll be here tomorrow night. This is amazing. I'm going to skip over here a little bit. Because they have this thing with chapters where you can see the different subjects. And let me put this here for a second.
The future of humanity, my friend, I'm curious about this. I would put forward 3 possible scenarios, and I'd like your opinion on them. First is the human species is simply a transient life form. We are on this planet to give birth to the next sentient life form that will dominate. Just like we as Homo sapiens are a result of a multitude of extinct life forms that preceded us and led up to us. And evolution doesn't stop, it continues. And we are giving birth to whatever our children and our children's children here of AI. That's one scenario. Another scenario is that we are on the verge of merging with technology. This is what Neuralink and Paradromics and a number of brain-computer interface companies, Ray talks about having high bandwidth brain-computer interface by the early 2030s using nanobots and being able to connect our neocortex, our 100 billion neurons, to the cloud, giving us the ability to understand quantum physics or Google and know whatever we want. And the third scenario is these meat bodies are transient and we're about to upload ourselves into the cloud. I'm curious about your thoughts on these 3 and where do you see yourself going?
Once again, a singularity. Are they a possibility? Yes. Are they certain to happen? No. I think the real question, if you don't mind me saying,
Please.
is when you say we, who do we mean? Do we mean Santa Monica? Do we mean California? Or do we mean every human on the planet? Okay. The truth is, even if we manage to get Neuralink to which we will, to work appropriately, then who is we? Is the guy in Africa who doesn't have the money to buy it capable of doing that? If forget Neuralink, if Vision Pro becomes thin enough for you to slowly and gradually dim the real world and live in the virtual world, who will buy it at $3,400? Who is we? And I think the real challenge that we have in our world of tech, you and I lived this deeply, is it's...
And we still do.
Yeah, it's very Californian, okay? And California is not the rest of the world, okay?
But Mo, we're living on a planet today that's got more handsets than humans. And
Correct.
If you go to the favelas of Rio de Janeiro or to the, throughout Africa, everybody's got, if not a smartphone, a feature phone, and soon a smartphone. And there'll be a point at which Amazon gives away phones for free because they're so cheap if you buy stuff from Amazon.
Correct.
Right? And so I do believe that
it's been possible for a very long time, right? But the real democracy is that the use of that phone would enable each and every one to have a better life. Okay, and if you really want to be, I mean, again, I don't want to paint utopian scenarios, but that use of the phone for some of us is very, very, very advantageous. For others, is very numbing. Okay, and in a very interesting way, if the use of Neuralink becomes a purpose of numbing, while it is for some of us going to be augmenting our intelligence to the point of super intelligence, then that's a very interesting sort of almost Matrix-like scenario, okay, where we numb a few and we make the others the concentration of power I was talking about. But let's go quickly and just go through those. Is humanity going to go extinct? It's a possibility. I mean, how big is that possibility as we look at it today?
Wow.
Very small, maybe 5%.
You don't think it's an inevitability? I mean, when everything changes, right?
Now, listen to this question. Listen to this question, because nobody is inquiring about this book. The #1 most read book on earth that was written by the prophets of Israel who were inspired by God, whose prophecies have came to fruition. And based upon that alone, I would want to know what's going to play out to the end. And what's not in the book is man creating robots to destroy mankind.
Keeping things constant is not the norm. Change is constantly the norm.
Yes, but for something to go extinct, you have to assume that the superior being is actively pursuing it, or there is a major natural disaster. So, you have to imagine that the chimps are still here. We've surpassed their intelligence, but we didn't go out on a hunt to try and kill all of them. And that's my perception.
Okay.
My perception is there
dominant
were
species then.
Yeah,
not
so
extinction, dominant species. Yeah.
Exactly. So for sure, 100%. It's over. I mean, there are assumptions already.
Back to the episode. So we talked about a new species becoming the dominant species on the planet, and we can sit back and relax and be human, or we can merge with it.
So that I have a big question on. I mean, some people would want to, some people would not. The question is, would AI want to? Okay, so we assume
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, we assume for the near future that they're still within our control, right? And that we can tell them, augment your mind with Elon Musk's mind, and then Elon becomes much more smarter. Amazing scenario for Elon, but not for the fabric of society. Understand that, right? As the fabric of society shifts, unless we do all 7 billion humans at the same time, we will shift between the current human species. In the minds of those who augment their minds to AI will become gods and animals. Did you see the dystopia in that?
Okay? Listen to this.
Right?
Of course, the haves and the have-nots magnified, a trillionfold.
Trillionfold.
Let me share.
You see, brothers and sisters, here they are referring to these robots as gods, with the potential of cohabitating with mankind to the point that mankind should be careful, because we don't know what they're going to do. This is the most asinine thing I have come across dealing with the end time. So let's keep this thing in perspective. I want to go to the scriptures. And so we can put this thing together. Because one thing, whether these are the images or anything else is the images, the Bible gives us a warning that we need to look closely at. All right? So we're going to deal with that, because I think that's what's really important. Brenda Beauclair says, what are we watching? Tonight's lesson, Sister Brenda Beauclair, is talking about worshiping the image, the warnings of worshiping the image. And of course, we're bringing in the fact that some people feel that this image, dealing with artificial intelligence, is this image. So what we're going to do tonight, we talked about this last night. This is part 2, but I want to go into the scriptures to see what the scriptures, how it warns us concerning this. So, worshiping the image. As we know that the image of the beast represents a desecration. Jesus warned us in the book of Matthew about this place, about this individual, this system that's going to come about defiling the holy sanctuary. So it brings about the need to really get people to understand and focus, not to be distracted, but to stay on the word of God the way we are. Matthew, the 24th chapter. Matthew 24 and verse 15. Matthew 24 and verse 15. This is the warning that Jesus gave. And it says this: when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Now, when we just sit there and analyze what Jesus is trying to put on the table, number one, we got to go back and read Daniel as Jesus had instructed. So a lot of people don't want to read what they call the Old Testament, the prophets. That's been done away with. But believe it or not, Jesus warns about the abomination of the desolation, referring to the same event described in Daniel the 11th chapter. And let's go look at that. Daniel the 11th chapter. Talking about the abomination of the desolation. Let me pick it up here. And this is what it says. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place, this is key, they're going to place the abomination that maketh desolate. They're going to make and place this. They're going to place this abomination, which is that system. They're going to place it in the temple. And what we got to be is vigilant, understanding the rise of false worship and avoiding participation in this type of idolatrous practice. So when people say, is this robot going to be the image that's going to cause fire to come down from heaven? I don't know. Other than I'm going to go with the warnings. I'm more so concerned about the warnings, because people are really taking this technology that it's going to be the destroyer of mankind. And it's so far from the truth. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians. And we're going to go to the 10th chapter. I think that's where I want to go at. Because we're talking about this false worship right now. Listen to this. Gotta flee this. Listen to what he says. Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. See, when you start to get into this artificial intelligence and what it's doing and all like that, brother and sisters, and we're not looking at what the scriptures say about it, flee from it. I'm not saying that some people said, oh, you got to leave the computer alone. It depends on what you're trying to do. Because we don't see it as a God. I would even comprehend a robot as having any type of power other than our God. Listen to this. Verse 21, little children, keep yourselves from idols. Keep yourselves from idols. Let's go over to Revelations, the 14th chapter. Revelations, the 14th chapter. And let's pick it up in verse number 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. See, this is what you need to be afraid of. Not AI robots. Not the beast and his image. No. You need to be afraid of what this third angel in John's vision is about to do. The third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Because these passages give warning against idolatry, stressing the need for people to have to worship anything else than the true God, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when we recognize the dangers and the consequences of this, participating in anything doing with this, worshiping the image, whether you believe that image is going to be the root of artificial intelligence or robots, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Worshiping the image of the beast carries severe consequences, including spiritual deception, separation from the presence of God. It says you're going to get tormented with fire and brimstones in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. He's going to see what's going to happen. Because this is going to be eternal judgment. So you got to resist this. You got to resist this. You can't have anything to do with this. You can't let this scare you. You can't let this bother you and say, oh man, what is this about? It's going down. I like when people always look to say something's going down. Brothers and sisters, this is not intimidating at all. It's not. I don't care what YouTube channels say. I don't care what the shorts is the YouTube shorts, where they try to throw out something very quick to you. I don't care what this stuff says. I don't care what they put out regarding artificial intelligence and merging with artificial. They're talking about merging with these robots. Listen to this.
It was about a decade ago. I was at a party. Kristen was there, a group of friends with Larry, Sergey, and Elon, and we had the most extraordinary and fun conversation about the notion that we're all living in a simulation. And I believe that. 100%. I believe that this is a simulation.
Yeah, I have no way of seeing it any other way.
Yeah, I would put it even in an nth generation simulation, meaning a simulation is begot, the next simulation is begot, the next simulation.
So here's the guys, they watch too much Hollywood. We're all in this simulator. Brothers and sisters, when you read the scriptures, it tells you what's going to happen, how it's all going to go down. These guys and these experts that the Lord allows to make this technology, including your cell phone, including your Apple watches, that could take your heartbeat and send out an alert. This is just man's technology. No big deal. But what you should be fearing is the God of Israel. Let's listen in.
And the conversation was, could we hack it? And the conclusion was that if we played with the simulation too much, they would just reset the game and we'd start again.
Switch off the console, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating thing. And of course, the interesting question is, if in fact you knew without question at all, as I feel I do, and perhaps you do as well, that you're living in a simulation, it wouldn't change anything. We'd still have the same dreams and the same loves and the same issues.
Which is a very interesting question for our future. I get a lot of people, because I'm outspoken about the topic and the threats and the possibilities, and I'm really, really actively asking for action. I get a lot of people that would text me on social media and say, you're making me afraid. Like, what do I do now? And I'm like, look, every video game that's ever existed is challenging. And what's the answer?
Did you hear that part, people are saying, "You're making me afraid. What do I do now? How do I live? How is there any hope? Why am I trying to live any particular way? Because the robots are coming. This has to be crazy."
Amika, hello. My name's Tom. I've travelled from Australia to meet you.
Oh, so you're from Australia?
Yes.
That explains things.
What do you think your greatest skills are?
Well, I would say...
Hey Siri.
Hey Siri.
Hey Siri.
Well, it had been a dream of us for a long time in AI to create a virtual assistant. I'm Tom Gruber. I was the CTO and co-founder of the group that created Siri.
Hi, Tom, my old friend.
Siri was very playful, and that was by design.
Siri is now just one of many virtual assistants that can help manage our lives.
Okay, Google. Hi, Bixby.
Hi, Amy. How can I help?
Alexa, it's game day. Siri co-inventor Tom Gruber is a strong believer in humanistic AI, making intelligent machines that serve humans rather than corporations.
I think Siri brought AI to the mainstream. It's used almost 1 billion times a day, or roughly 1 billion times a day.
Siri was tested heavily before being released to the public, but Tom Gruber says new AI apps like Microsoft-funded ChatGPT or Google's Bard have been trained on the knowledge of the internet and are now being tested on the public.
What they're doing by releasing it is they're getting data from humans about the kind of stuff that normal humans would do when they get their hands on such a model, and they're like learning by trial and error. There's a problem with that model. That's called a human trial without consent.
Microsoft told 730 in a statement that real-world experience and feedback is critical and can't be fully replicated in a lab. But Gruber and thousands of other scientists, researchers and coders across the world have signed a public letter declaring the current AI race is not safe.
And it really wasn't about stopping research. It was all about saying we've now uncovered this new technology which is more powerful than we thought. So let's give ourselves enough time to figure out a framework so that we can keep this technology safe and on the side of humans.
I would describe the way that the technology is being released as worrying. And they're rushing to do things that I don't think are very responsible.
Here's what the Christian broadcast networks say about AI.
So Jeff Kinley, let's just start with artificial intelligence. I always love to pick your brain on these things. AI is blowing up. It's everywhere. It feels like it was almost overnight that this became a phenomenon, although it's obviously been percolating for some time. But as a prophecy expert, as somebody who looks at the world and looks at scripture, what has you concerned maybe about AI?
Well, there's a lot about AI that remains to be seen, Billy. We don't really know how this thing is going to end up, soaking into the soil of humanity, if you will. But obviously, one of the biggest concerns is that it replaces human intelligence. I mean, we are moving as a society towards replacing humanity just about every way possible, replacing human labor, human thought, human writing, trying to pretty much put humanity to the margins of the narrative here. But the thing about AI that's so frightening or potentially frightening is that, there's talk of this bioengineering, these nano robots implanting within humanity the idea.
Now, you see, I can't even play the rest of it because when you say that you are a Christian broadcast and you're afraid, nobody is afraid of the God of Israel. Don't fear man. I remember Pastor Bowie taught a lesson and it was titled, Fear God, Not Man. Fear God, not man. Go and look for that lesson, brothers and sisters. Go look for that lesson. Yeah, Brother Dre. Life is nothing but a simulator. Go look at the lesson Pastor Bowie taught called Fear God, Not Man. But yet people are afraid. You're afraid, but you're not afraid of God, but you're afraid of a device which is nothing but a computer, a software giving out responses. It's reactionary. It's reactionary. It cannot do nothing on its own. It's like this phone. It sits here, it does nothing. It can only react. That's what I mean by reactionary. It can only do what I ask it to do. Let's do this. And I'm just giving an example again. What would be the weather for the rest of the week?
Tomorrow through Saturday in Fort Lauderdale, there will be thunderstorms with highs around 91 and lows around 78.
Reactionary. That's it. That's just a mechanical device that's reactionary. Brothers and sisters, the God of Israel is telling you what he's going to do before he even does it. No robot can do that. Nothing for us to be afraid of. Nothing at all. Man-made, Sister Brenda. Absolutely, man-made. So when people start looking at this, because you're not reading the scriptures, or you don't understand the scriptures, this is what's happening. Here's one that says, has man created his God? Let's look at this.
I want to read something to you guys, and I want to make a comment about just where we're at right now in light of some news that has come out even this day. First of all, I'm reading from Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. And so he says, to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to fear, tear, and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to and how it would go. He went before Pastor Peter Gabriel Muhlenberg had already prearranged the service and how it would go. He went before his congregation that was just under 1,000 people. I mean, that's a mega church in 1775. That's a mega church, man. And he gave a sermon. By the way, he would give his sermon in English, and then he'd go across town and deliver his sermon in German in another
chapters
church.
So I can get straight to the point.
Emergency oil reserves was a speaks, and it says, and it delivers a new
because it's
religious
talking about
text. You might say,
artificial intelligence, that man has created his God. Such a
So
title
Jeff
coming
Kinley, let's
right out
start
of church.
with artificial intelligence. I always love to pick your brain.
I'm going to find another one here.
Hey Siri.
Siri, Corey Bennett says that the robot is a trial without consent. And that's the guy that we were looking at before. But I want to pull up some of these that's on a news network.
This is not science fiction. Intelligence is not something mysterious that can only exist in human brains. It's something we can also build. We were basically building these alien minds that are much smarter than us, who we're going to have to share the planet with, right? And the pessimism is because basically everybody who's driving the race towards this cliff is in denial about there even being a cliff, but they can't stop. No company can pause alone because they're just going to have their lunch eaten by the competition and get killed by their shareholders. Otherwise, there might simply not be any humans on the planet at all. This is not an arms race, it's a suicide race.
Billions of dollars are pouring into artificial intelligence, but are private companies putting the world in danger in a race to create better, even so-called godlike artificial intelligence? Well, my guest today is Max Tegmark. He's a Swedish-American physicist, cosmologist, and machine learning researcher. He's a professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and the scientific director of the Foundational Questions Institute. Max, welcome to the show. I want to begin with a general question before we really launch into the specifics, and I'd ask you to be as brief as possible with your answer, as much as you can. And that question is, are a handful of companies leading us down a dangerous path?
Yes. Is that brief enough?
Let's go forward then. Let's move on. Let's begin with a little bit of background. All right, things have moved quickly in recent months after the American company OpenAI made its text-generating model ChatGPT public late last year. Now, that was followed in recent weeks by an updated chatbot based on an even more advanced AI model, GPT-4. Now, companies including Google and Alibaba have raced to release their own AI chatbots in the meantime, with plans to incorporate them into web browsers and other applications. All right, back to my guest, Max Tegmark, who had a one-word answer to the general question there. We want to get into the details here. Before we get into it, I want to ask you at the forefront here, how much of a breakthrough are these new generative AI models like ChatGPT?
It's what looks like a breakthrough in the media is really a quite steady progress on work on AI. It's been happening for a long time. You know, in the 60s, the term artificial intelligence was coined by an MIT professor, and
you say it's a warning shot. Give me an example of something that frightens you when you talk about the future capabilities of AI, or something that you've seen so far that AI does that shows some of its abilities that could be further developed.
I talked with a guy not long ago, for example, who was using AI to develop helpful drugs to cure diseases, to see how it could make people live as long as possible. And he just, as a test, put in a minus sign, so it would try to make it kill people instead of save people. And very promptly it invented the VX, one of the most potent chemical weapons known to humankind. So this shows right there that, you know, with intelligence comes power. Intelligence is not evil or good, it's a tool. And we really need to make sure that bad actors don't use it for bad things. We can't just, you don't, the reason you don't sell hand grenades in the supermarket is because not everybody has the wisdom to manage this well, right? And it would be crazy for AI to think it's any different from biology or physics. We don't sell nuclear weapons in supermarket. We have safety regulations for who can do dangerous synthetic biology research. We need to do the same with AI. It's been done before. We can't do it. There's just a lot of commercial pressure, of course, to not do it, just like there was commercial pressure.
So, you know, again, when you look at this, it continues to go back over and over to say the same thing over and over, brothers and sisters. That we just, when you look at the scriptures, that's what you should be worried about, not what this man has created. Like, you should never be afraid of the computers. You should never be afraid of cell phones or any other devices that man does. But you should look at the warnings that are given, such as this one right here. Here's a warning. I don't know if people ever look at it, but he tells you, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day should not come except there should come a falling away first. These are the things that we're talking about is what makes people fall away. Because they don't understand, what is artificial intelligence? Man is going to destroy himself. These are just the thoughts. I'm just telling you what's out there on YouTube. But listen to this. And social media and Facebook and in the news. But the scripture says, let no man deceive you by any means. For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So one of the questions came, is this artificial intelligence who's going to be sitting in the temple? No. We know who it is. We know that they come from Rome. So these type of questions that I'm seeing and people are asking on YouTube and social media and Facebooks and TikTok and all of this, brothers and sisters, no. So I'm going to end it right there. Fear God and not man, not the creations that man creates. No. Sister Kimberly says, whatever this is or isn't, we must stay focused and stay the course. Shout out. Stay the course. Stay the course, brothers and sisters. Remaining and in and honoring our covenant with the Lord, watching for the true signs given to us. Don't get distracted by these things. Don't get distracted by man's inventions, whom the Lord allowed to make these inventions. The plane, the ship, the car, the electric car. All of these things. Electric drill. Now you got drills with just got batteries on them. You know, cordless electronic tools. Come on, brothers and sisters. This stuff shouldn't be surprising us, what the Lord allows man to create. But he's not going to allow man to create a robot that will kill off humanity. Don't fit the script. It don't fit the script. So I hope that we said that this lesson was going to be more conversational and discussion, because there's information out there floating around. And tonight we wanted to bring you back into those scriptures that gives us warning. Tomorrow night, Brother Julius, the Bomb of Gilead, and Brother Will will be right here. I believe I'll be able to simulcast. Brother Drake says it only puts out what is put in. Brother Drake, you could not have said it better. It puts out what it's put into. So if you put this stuff in it, that's the only thing it's going to bring out. So, brothers and sisters, stay the course. Don't let none of this stuff get you off base. Stay the course. Just like when COVID came out, people said that the 5G network caused COVID. These are the things that float around out there on social media. And now, COVID is gone. People they got their i14 phones using the 5G network. Moved on. So, that being said, brothers and sisters, I enjoyed being with you all tonight. I'm going to get out of here. Got to go to work in the morning. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We want to just say to you, make sure that you let the words of your mouth and the meditation of your heart, make sure you let it be acceptable in His sight. The Lord be our strength and our Redeemer. In Jesus, amen. And I leave with you. Don't forget to watch the lesson Pastor Bowie did. Fear God, not man. Peace and blessings to you.